News and media has always seemed to be a big thing in the wizarding world, each wizard and witch patiently waiting for the next scandal to break, some treating their daily newspaper more like a Bible than anything else. In this video I'm going to cover the Daily Prophet followed by the Quibbler. This is the Daily Prophet and the Quibbler explained by Harry Potter Folklore. The Daily Prophet is a wizarding newspaper based in London, England. It is the primary source of news for British and Irish wizards. The current editor is Barnabas Cuff, who works in the main office in Diagon Alley. Because of its ability to influence the minds of many in the British and most likely Irish wizarding community, the paper has been known to have its content slanted intentionally by the current Minister of Magic, which it has strong ties with, into telling the ministry's preferred version of events. Unfortunately, the Prophet does not seem to have a lot of journalistic integrity. It has been known to be more concerned about sales than about factual accuracy. The paper features a morning and evening edition, the latter of which is called the Evening Prophet. The weekend edition is called the Sunday Prophet. Additional news bulletins can be delivered quickly when important newsworthy events occur. As news changes, an edition may magically change too over the course of the day, probably by a means of a protein charm. There is only one wizarding newspaper in Britain, discounting such small circulation publications as the Quibbler. The Daily Prophet, whose headquarters are in Diagon Alley, is delivered by owl on a daily basis to nearly every wizarding household in Britain. Payment is effected by placing coins in the pouch tied to the paper owl's leg. Occasionally, when something particularly interesting or exciting happens, such as the illegal flight of a Ford Anglia the length of Britain, an Evening Prophet edition will be rushed out. Subscriptions cost one nut. This paper is delivered to professors and also a few students at Hogwarts in the mornings when the owl post arrives. The Prophet is not the only publication in the wizarding world, however, but it is almost certainly the most widely read. Stories in the Prophet often colour public opinion to a great amount. When the Prophet published stories deriding Harry Potter and Albus Dumbledore, most people in the wizarding world believed what they read. The most widely read alternative publication in the wizarding world is the Quibbler. While the Daily Prophet has been known to print facts, it has also had a somewhat negative reputation for being incredibly biased, corrupt and deceptive. It is clear that, as there is a strong government control of the newspaper, the facts can be misleading, if not outright fabrications, and that certain means of gathering information appear to be somewhat unethical. Government control of the ministry is shown in the way that the Daily Prophet appears to pressure the government and go around official sources, and several people in Harry's circles feel that the Ministry of Magic leans heavily on the Prophet. In other instances, the Daily Prophet has misleading journalism, information that, while accurate in fact, leads readers to the wrong conclusion. There are also occasions when the newspaper is seen to contain inaccurate or libellous content. It appears that there is little regard for accuracy in any form, and there are no consequences or accountability for poor journalistic practices. The Daily Prophet's unethical means of gathering information are most accurately seen with Rita Skeeter, a prominent but corrupt journalist who writes with a complete disregard for accuracy, truthfulness and objectivity, often conducting interviews with a quick quotes quill, a magical quill that writes automatically as the subject speaks. However, the quill does not record verbatim what the subject says. Instead, it takes a subject's words and creates sensational and inaccurate tales that bear little resemblance to actual events. In addition, Skeeter illegally turns herself into a beetle to spy on people and get personal information from them without being seen. The Daily Prophet reports on everything going on in the wizarding world, albeit not always in an unbiased way. In addition to the news, the Daily Prophet includes a Magizoology column which is run every Wednesday, and a Quidditch section which features a boxed table of all the teams in the league, ranked by a total number of points scored, with forthcoming matches listed side by side. This section also includes articles on recent matches and other items of interest. Wizardkind tends not to require alternative political flavours in its news coverage, which is not to say, however, that the Prophet does not have a political agenda. As a small outsider and occasionally beleaguered community, wizards are by and large interested in the same kinds of stories, whether anyone is in trouble for infractions of the International Statute of Secrecy, what irritating legislation the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts Office has come up with now, and when the next Celestina Warbeck Weird Sisters concert will take place. There is also an editorial section of the newspaper where only few get responses and are usually brief. The best letter is under the headline Star Letter. A classified advertisement section is in the newspaper with subheadings of Jobs, For Sale and Lonely Hearts. Birth and death notices also appear on this page. The advice section of the Prophet has a variety of experts in differing fields answering the reader's questions. Some topics covered in the past have been medical queries, emotional dilemmas, legal problems, and everyday magical problems. Sometimes the Daily Prophet has a fiendishly difficult crossword puzzle and usually has a magic lottery and a magic symbols game. Now I'm going to go into a little more detail about the evening and weekend editions of the Prophet. The Evening Prophet was the name of the evening edition of the Daily Prophet. Presumably, this edition included different features compared to the morning edition or Sunday Prophet. Evening editions can apparently be delivered very quickly after an important story breaks. A witch or wizard anywhere in Britain can have a copy in hand within a short time of publication. For example, when Ron Weasley and Harry Potter were spotted by Muggles flying to Fort Anglia, Snape had a copy of the Evening Prophet in his hand, telling him about it very shortly after they arrived. One of the Muggles who spotted them was in Peebles, which is relatively close to Hogwarts, so the story couldn't have been more than an hour old at that point. The Sunday Prophet is the name of the weekend edition of the Daily Prophet. Presumably, like the Evening Prophet, this edition includes different features compared to the daily edition. The Daily Prophet has been producing papers since 1743, when it famously described Gideon Flatworthy, head of an extremist anti-Muggle group who died in September of that year, as less a wizard, more a lazy walrus-like object who lies all day on a rather smelly cushion and expects people to admire him for it. During the Ministry's campaign to discredit and slander Albus Dumbledore and Harry Potter, the Prophet was an instrumental tool of the Ministry in their goal to convince the public that Albus Dumbledore and Harry Potter were fear-mongering or simply mad. The Ministry of Magic was responsible for the unfair journalism of that summer, as Cornelius Fudge strove to discredit Dumbledore's account of the return of Lord Voldemort. Hermione Granger subscribed to the paper to keep on top of the Ministry's agenda and see what the enemy was saying. Some people, such as Augusta Longbottom, cancelled their subscriptions due to believing in Dumbledore and Harry over the Ministry. Originally, Harry kept getting his subscription only to skim through the front page for information about Voldemort's movements, as he was aware of the Ministry's denial. Because of this, he missed out on the slip-ins of him and Dumbledore being antagonised. Upon realising what was happening, Harry ceased his subscription. After Fudge was forced to admit that Voldemort had returned, the Prophet changed its stance overnight, calling Harry a lone voice of truth. The newspaper even bought, from the Quibbler, Harry's interview on Voldemort's return and claimed it to be exclusive. After the Battle of the Department of Mysteries, and in addition to the Ministry being forced to accept Voldemort's return, the Daily Prophet reported on all the tragedy and terror affecting wizards and muggles alike. This included reporting the murder of Amelia Bones, Emmeline Vance, the incorrect arrest of Stan Shumpike, and the arrest of Mundungus Fletcher for impersonating an Amphiarius. When the Death Eaters took over the Ministry, they also took over the Daily Prophet, and subsequently they stopped reporting deaths that Death Eaters were responsible for. They also printed biased, bogus news such as articles on Muggleborns stealing magic from true wizards. As such, many Resistance members turned to other programs for news, such as Potterwatch and the Quibbler. It is likely when Kingsley Shacklebolt became Minister for Magic in 1998, the Daily Prophet was decorrupted. The Quibbler, marketed as the Wizarding World's alternative voice, is a wizarding tabloid published and edited by Xenophilius Lovegood, father of Luna. Luna gets every issue of the Quibbler when it's published, which could contribute to her often odd beliefs. The Quibbler publishes odd articles, including conspiracy theories and discussions of imaginary creatures. It is my guess and speculation that the magazine started with Lovegood himself, as there seems to be no information on the Quibbler before he became editor. Therefore, it's my belief he's the founder, most likely after he graduated from Hogwarts. Although many articles in the magazine were interesting to read, there were many that came across as so far-fetched that it's impossible to find truth behind them, like the claimed existence of the crumple-horned Snorkack, or Sirius Black being a rock star in disguise, something even Harry Potter brushed off as utter rubbish. In fact, despite the Quibbler's wide reach, many found its articles simply too outrageous and preferred a more stable and reliable form of news in the Daily Prophet. However, things changed when the Quibbler scored a journalistic coup in February of 1996, when the magazine agreed to run an interview with Harry Potter concerning the rebirth of Lord Voldemort. The interview, given by ex-Daily Prophet columnist Rita Skeeter, was published in the March edition, and as it offered another take on recent events, the magazine quickly sold out. Dolores Umbridge, a ministry bureaucrat acting as defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts, in addition to its role of High Inquisitor and later headmistress at the school, banned students from having copies of the Quibbler after this article, as she and the ministry were intent on denying Voldemort's return. However, Hermione Granger was very pleased about this, saying that the one thing Umbridge could have done to make all the students and teachers want to read it was to ban it, as the students were very focused on rebelling against the sadistic tyrant. Harry received lots of fan mail during breakfast at the Great Hall, and some letters said he had them convinced, especially after the ministry's poor reaction to the 1996 mass breakout from Azkaban. In the article, he names all the Death Eaters he saw in Little Hangleton Graveyard and gives as many details as he could of the night Voldemort returned. Though Rita was displeased about writing for the Quibbler, and even more displeased that she wasn't going to get paid for it, she was blackmailed into writing the article by Hermione, who threatens to reveal to the world that Skeeter was an unregistered animagus. The interview with Harry went on to be one of the biggest selling individual issues ever. During the height of the Second Wizarding War, when Voldemort took over the Ministry of Magic, the Quibbler was one of the only media outlets to print the truth and publicly support Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. To combat this dissent, the Death Eaters abducted Luna and held her hostage against Xenophilius' good behaviour in the basement of Malfoy Manor. Due to his daughter's capture, Xenophilius began printing stories advocating the capture of undesirable number 1, Harry Potter, and when Harry, Hermione and Ron came to visit his home in the spring of 1998, Xenophilius tried to turn them into the Ministry in a desperate attempt to get his daughter back. The trio narrowly escaped, and Xenophilius was imprisoned in Azkaban and his house was blown up because of an irrumpent horn. After Voldemort's defeat, the Quibbler returns to printing its strange theories, possibly including proof of the existence of some creatures discovered by Luna, who later became a famous wizarding naturalist. And that is all for today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if it is your first time watching. And if you're a fan of the channel and feel like you'd like to contribute, my restructured Patreon account is up and running, and in exchange for your contribution of a minimum of $1 a month, there are many rewards you can receive, like suggesting one of my upcoming videos, exclusive Patreon only videos for you to watch, and even one-to-one Skype calls where we can hang out and talk everything Harry Potter or anything in general. So please make sure to check out some of my other videos on the left hand side of the screen. My second channel, Game of Thrones Lore, is on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to check out some merch, I've got a merch store on the bottom right, or you can click the link in the description below. Thanks again everyone, and I hope you all have a great day.